Hey, what is going on, everyone? In today's video, I want to share some tips that hopefully will help out some new players in Dune Awakening. Now, I made another video with some other tips as well for new players, so I will link that down in the description below if you haven't seen that yet. Now, honestly, these are really just tips that I have been learning while I've been playing Dune Awakening, so we're going to go a little bit all over the place, but hopefully you do find it helpful. So without further ado, let's hop into it. So first off, this is going to be helpful if you are playing in a party in the game. You're definitely going to want to turn this setting on. So head to your settings in the game, go to the display tab here, and you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom and you'll see this show friendly indicators option here. You're going to want to turn that on and it does exactly what it says. It will show friendly indicator icons over people in your party. This will not work for your guild. This is only going to be for the party that you have formed, which is up to 4 players. So just keep that in mind. But this is very useful and it's off by default, I believe. So make sure you turn this on so that you can see your friends in your party. The next tip here has to do if you're having trouble finding the trials that are in the game. You can see, for example, the quest I have up in the top left is locate the 4th trial. So if you're having trouble actually finding those, you can open up your journey screen here and you will go to the journey for whatever trial that you're trying to look at. And there's actually an option here to view trial location. So what you can do is it gives you kind of this rough map with a little bit of text that gives you a hint of exactly where this is. So if you're having trouble finding these trials, you can just go ahead and take a look at this and compare it to the map that you have in game. And this has helped me tremendously to find some of these trials because honestly, I was just kind of walking around aimlessly until I ran into one. So this is a great way to get to those trials faster. Also, since we're already in the journey screen right here, another great tip is that all of the tutorial cards that pop up in the game as you are learning things for the first time are logged here in the tutorial tab under the journey section. So if you ever forget exactly what something said or it disappeared and you're not entirely sure what it meant, you can just go back and take a look at all these tutorial cards that have popped up and then just make sure that you fully understand whatever you missed. This next tip has to do with power management at your base. So you're probably going to start building out a lot more generators at your base, especially in the beginning so that you can build more facilities. But what's important here is that you can actually toggle off the power usage for certain facilities so that your power generators don't end up using as much power as maybe they need to. So for example, something like the repair station or the recycler, which maybe you're not really using all the time, you're only using from time to time, or after you're done on a journey, you want to repair your weapon and you want to recycle some other things that you've picked up. What you can do is hop into these general settings here for any of these and you can enable or disable them. So enabled, this is actually going to use 15 power. And then if I actually enable my repair station here, we're actually going to hit the max power on my circuits. So since I don't use my repair station all the time or my recycler all the time, I'm just going to disable these two. And this will allow me to build other facilities that I do need to use more often without having to build additional generators. So just a tip there that you can turn off the power for any of these stations. Just go to the general section here. You can click disable and it will not use that power that's associated with that station. The next tip here has to do with vehicles. So as you progress through the game, you will unlock the sand bike, which really just does open up a lot of things for you, gives you a lot more freedom, and also makes it so that you can, get away from the worm whenever you kind of need to. Definitely makes the world a little less intimidating. But something you might not know is that you can actually attach higher tier items and modules to lower tier vehicles. So for example, the sand bike right here, if I go into the details of this, you'll see that this is a Mark 1 sand bike. So everything on this is Mark 1, but in my inventory right here, I actually have a sand bike booster that is Mark 2. So what you can do is take out your welding tool and I can actually attach the Mark 2 booster to the Mark 1 vehicle here. So you can kind of mix and match if you would like to. There are some benefits in doing this, such as with the buggy, you can attach higher mining tools to lower tier buggies, which can help a lot as well. But just as an FYI, you don't always need to have the same tier of vehicle parts to put together, you can mix and match them. Another tip here, in order to maximize the amount of XP you get in the early game at least, is that obviously when you use your cut array, you're going to want to scan one of these nodes and you can break it down. But you'll notice once this is broken down, you will get 5 XP, but usually with these nodes are also going to be some loose resources around there of the same exact type of node. And when you actually pick these up, you're going to get 2 XP for each of these. So you actually get more XP. Usually there are 3 little loose resources around these larger nodes. You actually get more XP for picking up those extra nodes than you do for the larger one. So you're just going to want to make sure that you're not ignoring them, essentially, is what I would say, especially in the early game. I know it's not a lot of XP, but you're going to be doing a lot of mining in the game. So I highly recommend that you don't just scan these items and move on. You also just pick up these loose ones that are right next to it. So just another tip there to really just maximize your XP. Again, I know it's not a lot of XP, but it does add up over time. And the next tip here has to do with when you're looting enemies, you can actually loot everything from an enemy and extract their blood at the same time. So if I extract their blood here and hold down E, you can actually loot and extract blood at the same time. Might not seem like a big deal, but I've actually used that quite a bit when things are getting a little bit hectic and I don't want to forget to loot the enemies, and I also want to get their blood. So you can just do that at the exact same time, and it just saves a little bit of a step there. So that's something I've just been doing that I found really useful. Another tip is that if you're at a trade post and you go up to the vendor that has this icon next to it, they actually do sell something called a cup of water here, only for 100 Solari. So if you're really hurting for water and you're having trouble finding it, go to a trading post and then you can just buy it, and it will give you 100 milliliters of water. So you can buy a few of those if you would like to, but if you're really struggling, you're not able to get water, definitely head to a trading post and buy it there. You also do get an achievement for buying your first cup of water. Another tip is to always have some Solari on your actual person. Now, as far as I'm aware, the pilot that is at all of the different trading posts here is the only vendor that actually requires you to use Solari that's on your person. You can go to some of these hubs like Arakeen or Harko Village and deposit your coins into the bank, which I recommend doing for most of your money. I actually covered that in the last tips video that I mentioned. But if you do want to fly here, it has to be actually on your person. So if I didn't have this 3,000 Solari right here on my person, I would not actually be able to fly to this area. So make sure you have at least 2,500 Solari on your person. Not really hard to get, only takes maybe, under 30 minutes to get that. And until you at least get an ornithopter, and then you can actually fly to these places without needing to pay the fee. And there you have it, folks. Those are some tips to hopefully help out some new players out there. So hopefully you found it useful. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe to help support the channel. If you have any other tips that could help out new players that you're also learning along the way, drop them in the comments down below. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, these are just things that I've learned along the way. I'm trying to share them with you guys. So if you don't find some of the tips useful, I'm sorry, but I thought it was pretty useful when I discovered it. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and feel free to join our Discord community as well. We have a good amount of people in there that are playing Dune, sharing helpful resources for Dune. So that link is always down in the description below. But thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and take care.